Jose Antonio Vargas was living the American dream, a multimedia journalist, when he made headlines of his own last year. The Pulitzer Prize winner revealed he is one of nearly 12 million illegal immigrants living in the United States.
This morning, he has the cover story in the latest issue of Time magazine. The provocative cover photo shows Jose with 35 other undocumented immigrants. They all revealed their names and stories in the magazine. Jose Antonio Vargas is with us now in Studio 57. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's good to have you here. Tell me what you're doing here, and who are these people, and what's the point?
The point is we are not who you think we are. After coming out, so to speak, last year about my own personal story, I've traveled the country. I've been in 60 events in 20 different states in the past year: Alabama, Arizona, Iowa. And ordinary Americans have such a profound misunderstanding and misperceptions about what this issue is and who we exactly are. And to me, the power of this Time magazine cover is you have 35 people here from 15 different countries: Mexico, Nigeria, Israel, Korea, Philippines. When we think about illegal immigration, we seem to think that it's all about Mexicans and the border, and that's just not the reality.
So what happens if they want to become legal?
That's the problem. There isn't a process. People don't know that. I remember being in Iowa and Cedar Rapids and Mitt Romney, telling the audience, people like me should get in the back of the line. Where's the line? If they can tell us where it is, if it's in Times Square somewhere, I'll go there right now. There is no line. There is no process.
I was fascinated in the story. You said you actually called at one point. After you came out, you sat and you waited for the government to knock on your door. They didn't. Yeah. So you called and you got nothing?
But this is the reality of it, right? I mean, at the end of the day, most people in my situation haven't been encountered by the government. There's 11.5 million of us, right? And most people have not been encountered. And so I'm not even in their database. I mean, as one of the people in the government, immigration officials told me.
Didn't they tell you they couldn't even talk to you about your case?
They couldn't even talk to me about my case.
Even though you were calling about yourself? I
am about as public as it comes on this. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook. I can tell I'm on the corner of 14th and 6th in Manhattan. To me, what's fascinating too is I'm a part of this growing movement of people who are coming out about their stories and saying, this is not what you think it is. People who are writing about the Arizona bill that's about to be, decided by the Supreme Court. People are speaking out, and I think that's the powerful part of it.
If there was a debate in this president's campaign about immigration, what should the debate be?
The debate should be about an actual solution. The debate should be an actual compromise. The debate should be about an honest conversation about this issue.
And what do you think would be fair to everybody?
What will be fair is to come up with a system in which people like me, we're almost invisibly visible. We're here. So allow us to come forward and say, hey, if you want us to pay our back taxes, if you want us to wait in some sort of line, if you want us to learn to speak English, I speak pretty good English, I speak English pretty well, but give us a process that we can enter, right? That doesn't exist.
Is in any way that inequitable for people who have somehow paid what was necessary to be a legal immigrant? Well,
I mean, the thing to me is what's more counterproductive is allowing people like me, to even stay in the shadows. For example, let me give you a perfect example. People didn't know that we pay taxes. In 2010, we paid $11.2 billion in state and local taxes. We pay into Social Security, yet we can't benefit.
But you can also, and how is it that you're able to, because you wrote this story.
Yeah.
You get paid for your work.
Yeah.
You're an illegal immigrant. How do you get paid legally?
Well, as an undocumented American, naturally. I get paid as an independent contractor. I'm not allowed to be an employee of CBS News or the Huffington Post, for example, where I used to work. But I am allowed to be an independent contractor as a freelancer, so to speak. By the way, that's how gardeners, construction workers, that's how people get paid.
Could you be deported?
Oh, yeah. I could.
Do you worry about that?
All 35 of us in this cover worry about that. But what's even more worrisome is not doing anything about it.
Will anybody you think, this is such a political issue, do you feel you do you ever get a straight answer, do you think, when you talk to lawmakers, or is it more of a concern over votes?
It's become a third rail issue. Politicians don't want to touch this because, again, I don't think we've had an honest conversation about it. And it's really tough to talk about any pieces of legislation without first having an honest conversation about what we're talking about.
Be interesting to see, as Charlie points out, if maybe we can get a little bit of that in the debate this fall.
That
would
would be
nice.
wonderful. Yeah.
Jose, nice to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Good. Thank you.
You can read Jose's article in the new issue of Time magazine, which is on newsstands tomorrow.